Sound design can get very complicated very quickly, and the more complex a sound is, the more situational it becomes. And so today's video is dedicated to simple, easy to make sounds that I use all the time in all kinds of different genres. So let me show you what they are and how to make them. Depending on the genre that you make, a lot of times you want your bass sound to be more on the simple side so that you can make room for other sounds to be more complex. So I want to show you guys my favorite, just simple, deep bass sound that you can use for so many different genres and so many scenarios. You can make this in a lot of different ways, but my preferred way of making it is using frequency modulation, but just like a hair of it. And let me show you what I mean. So here we've got FM8, and we're going to use this for our deep bass sound, but there's a lot of different synths that you could use for this. So if we just start with a simple sine wave, as is the building block for most sounds here. First thing that we're gonna do is head over to this envelope and just change and adjust the envelope a little bit. So I'm gonna increase the release time and increase the attack time because you can hear it kind of clicks on and off, which I hate. So I'm gonna just slow it down a little bit, and we're gonna slow down the attack a little bit. You can see the values right here. And let's actually give it a little bit of a decay. Cool. And now the other thing I'm going to do is click this little link button, which will link operator B to be the same envelope as A, which we're going to want. And here's where the magic comes in. So I right-clicked B to activate it, and I'm just going to send another sine wave at the exact same ratio, so a 1-to-1 ratio, to A. And that's like 99% of the bass sound. And all I would really do from here is add a bit of compression to adjust, the envelope a little bit more and account for any velocity changes. And another piece of the puzzle is going to be adding some saturation. So I just like to start bringing it. I'm going to bring the output down just in case this gets loud. But what I like to do is keep playing a note until I hear that it starts to enter the non-linear zone of the saturation. And one other thing I like to do with the bass sound is just make sure that it's monophonic. So if you just press this mono button and bring the voices maybe to 1, none of the notes are going to overlap one another, which is a nice thing to have in a bass sound. And the final piece of the puzzle here is that I'm just going to add a little EQ and just taper off a little bit of the highs. And so this is kind of what it would sound like if you had a little, some drums behind you. And essentially the frequency modulation just adds those extra harmonics that puts it in this really nice pocket in whatever it is that you're making. So I really enjoy using that basic bass sound. Now my next favorite simple sound to use is just what I like to call a low pass filtered lead. And for this, you can just start with a sawtooth. And once again, let's make this mono. So you come down here to the bottom right and just make sure it's a monophonic synth. Then it really puts it into that lead category. So once again, let's start with the envelope. I'm gonna increase the release time a little bit. And we'll give it a little bit of an envelope here. And increase the attack time just a bit. But the real magic in this sound is going to come from the filtering. So I like to use about an 18 decimal per octave filter here. So the idea here is that we're going to use another envelope to give our filter frequency a bit of a journey here. Okay, so if I just drag envelope 2, and we'll decrease the depth here by dragging this little knob. On envelope 2, which is the one controlling the low pass filter, I'm going to bring the sustain all the way down because I want it to set at the lowest minimum value that I've placed here. Okay, so now it's starting to come to life a little bit. Now the real trick here is when you slow down the attack of the filter. Now I kind of like to have it resting at about, 180 hertz or so. But watch what happens when you just throw a little bit of reverb on there. If you want it to sound a little bit more extreme, you can make sure you increase the resonance and it'll get a little bit more funky. If you decrease the resonance, it'll get a little bit more chill or maybe like future bassy. And it's just an awesome all around modern sound that you can use for all kinds of stuff. Now, the third one that I want to bring into the mix here is what I like to call my jack of all trades keys sound. So if we just pull up another instance of Serum here, this also uses a sawtooth as the building block of the entire patch. But this time it's obviously not going to be monophonic. We're just going to keep that off and actually increase the amount of voices to about 16. So it sounds completely boring at the moment, right? But we're gonna fix that really quickly. So the fastest way to do that is just to increase the unison count to about 7. Just comes alive already. What I like to do here is slow down the release time once again. Give it a little bit more of an envelope by decreasing the sustain. And we'll just increase the attack a hair. And then I like to activate oscillator B. Pick a different kind of sawtooth or just something else that sounds interesting. You can honestly just keep this oscillator sounding like this, because it's just gonna be more of like a support role for the initial synth. If you need just like a bright sort of like droppy synth sound, this is totally fine, right? But as always, the magic comes when you start adding different things with the filter. And then, similar to the lead sound, if we just give this a bit of a journey, the filter frequency of our low pass filter, decrease the sustain, and slow down the attack of the envelope that's controlling our filter. Super versatile sound. And what I really like about this sound is that all you need to do is adjust a couple of parameters and it completely transforms into a different type of sound. So if I bring the filter frequency cutoff down, it's completely different, and then you bring it back up. Now, another way that you can easily transform the sound too into like a pad, for example, is just increase the release time of the envelope and keep the filter frequency low. Maybe it's kind of like one of those post-drop sounds or something that you'd put in a verse. And of course, if you just head over to the effects column or just start adding effects from your DAW, whatever you want to do. Like if I just literally start clicking all these randomly and just turn a bunch of stuff on. And it again transformed into something cool, right? It took us 2 seconds to start adding effects and having fun. I find that this is something nice to add when you don't want to put like a piano or like a Rhodes sound in it. You want something a little bit more modern sounding or just something a little bit more on the synthy side. This is just an awesome thing to start with. The beauty with these patches, these simple patches, is that you can start adding all kinds of effects that you want to make it sound wild, but the core sound is there, and that's the majority of what I start with, the building blocks. But my question for you guys is, outside of the realm of, real instruments, what are some of the more simple sounds that you find yourself continually coming back to in whatever genre you make? Let us know down below, and I hope this inspired you to go make some music. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you very soon. All right, guys, take care.